And we're in a brief expected handover between our satellites, but we'll read here shortly. Crew 3 has successfully arrived at the International Space Station after docking at 5:32 p.m. Central Time and floated inside the space station at 7:25 p.m. Central. And we're in a brief expected handover between our satellites, but we'll read here shortly. Crew 3 has successfully arrived at the International Space Station after docking at 5:32 p.m. Central Time and floated inside the space station at 7:25 p.m. Central. And we're in a brief expected handover between our satellites, but we'll read here shortly. Crew 3 has successfully arrived at the International Space Station after docking at 5:32 p.m. Central Time and floated inside the space station at 7:25 p.m. Central. And we're in a brief expected handover between our satellites, but we'll read here shortly. Crew 3 has successfully arrived at the International Space Station after docking at 5:32 p.m. Central Time and floated inside the space station at 7:25 p.m. Central. And we're in a brief expected handover between our satellites, but we'll read here shortly. Crew 3 has successfully arrived at the International Space Station after docking at 5:32 p.m. Central Time and floated inside the space station at 7:25 p.m. Central. And we're in a brief expected handover of satellites, but we'll read here shortly. Crew 3 has successfully arrived at the International Space Station after docking at 5:32 p.m. Central Time and floated inside the space station at 7:25 p.m. Central. And we're in a brief expected handover of satellites, but we'll read here shortly. Crew 3 has successfully arrived at the International Space Station after docking at 5:32 p.m. Central Time and floated inside the space station at 7:25 p.m. Central. And we're in a brief expected handover of satellites, but we'll read here shortly. Crew 3 has successfully arrived at the International Space Station after docking at 5:32 p.m. Central Time and floated inside the space station at 7:25 p.m. Central. We're in a brief handover of satellites, but we'll read here shortly. Crew 3 has successfully arrived at the International Space Station after docking at 5:32 p.m. Central Time and floated inside the space station at 7:25 p.m. Central. In a brief handover of satellites, but we'll read following a dock at 5:32 here shortly. Crew 3 has successfully arrived at the International Space Station after docking at 5:32 p.m. Central Time.
The crew on board the International Space Station is going to complete a scene and voice check to make sure everything checks out on the ground before the welcoming ceremony takes place.
Houston, there's just waiting on your go to open location 23.
Hand over satellites, but will
We copy, stand by 1.
following a dock at 5:32 here shortly. Crew 3 has successfully arrived at the International Space Station
at 8 p.m. Central Time.
5:32 p.m. Central Time.
The crew on board the International Space
Station is going to complete a
p.m.
scene and voice
Central.
check to make sure everything checks out on the ground before the welcoming ceremony takes place.
Houston, there's just waiting on your go to open location 23.
Lights, but will
We copy, stand by 1.
following a dock at 5:32 here shortly. Crew 3 has successfully arrived at the International Space Station
8 p.m. Central Time.
5:32 p.m. Central Time.
The crew on board the International Space Station is going to complete a
scene and voice
Central.
check to make sure everything checks out
Copy, Mark.
on the
We're ready
ground
for the voice.
before
and,
the
for
welcoming
scene, it looks
ceremony
like we're
takes
gonna have to
place.
Zoom out just a little bit, please. Zoom out a touch so we can get 7 folks in there.
Houston, there's just waiting on your
And
go to
this
open
is Houston on the big loop.
23.
Raja, your go for 6.1.
Lights,
Go to
go,
open location 23. We copy, stand by 1.
A big loop. We copy. We're going to open location 23 in Endurance.
Affirmative, 6.3. And then Houston for Mark, we're back with you and ready for the
Following
voice
a
check.
dock at 5:32 here shortly. Crew 3 has successfully arrived at the International Space
At
Station
8 p.m. Central Time.
5:32 p.m. Central
The
Time.
crew on board the International
inside
Space
the
Station is going to complete a scene
and
and
voice
Central.
check to make
this
sure
is the
everything
voice check.
checks out
Copy, Mark.
on the
We're ready
ground
for the voice.
before
and,
the
for
welcoming
scene, it looks
ceremony
like we're
takes
gonna have to
place.
Zoom out just a little
5,
bit, please. Zoom out a
6,
touch so we can get 7
7,
folks in there.
8, 9, 10.
Houston, there's just waiting on your
And
go to
this
open
is
location
Houston on the big loop.
Raja,
Raja, your go for 6.1.
Lights,
Go
go,
ready to
go.
go. Location 23. We'll kick it off. Copy, stand by 1. The hour.
Big loop. We copy. We're going to open location
Copy,
23
thank
in
you.
Endurance.
Affirmative, 6.3. And then Houston for Mark, we're back with you and ready for the
Following
voice
a
check.
dock
And
at
we had a
5:32
successful scene and voice
5:32
check. We're still targeting the
Shortly.
welcoming ceremony to begin at 8
3
p.m.
has
Central Time this
successfully
evening.
arrived at the International Space
At
Station
8 p.m.
after
Central
docking
Time.
at 5:32 p.m. Central
The
Time.
crew on board the International
inside
Space
the
Station is going to complete a scene
and
and
voice
Central.
check to make
this
sure
is the
everything
voice check.
checks out
Copy, Mark.
One,
on the
We're ready
ground
for the
2,
voice. And,
before the
for
welcoming
scene, it looks
ceremony
like we're
takes
gonna
place.
Zoom out just a little
5,
bit, please. Zoom out a
6,
touch so we can get 7
7,
folks in there.
8, 9, 10.
On your screen, you can see in the bottom right is NASA astronaut Mark Vanda High. He kicked off preparations ahead of hatch opening. To the left of him is Roscosmos cosmonaut Piotr Dubrov, as well as European Space Agency astronaut and member of Crew 3, who just arrived to the International Space Station, Tom Marshburn. Matthias Maurer. This is his first time in space. And to the right of him is the current space station commander, Roscosmos cosmonaut Anton Shkaplerov.
To station on 2 concerning T2 harnesses.
Go ahead on 2.
I put the harnesses for the Crew 3 folks next to T2 this morning, except I did not find the harness for Marshburn. Can you tell me where to find that?
And we're checking on that now. Not sure we're going to have an answer ASAP, but we're asking the question.
We got plenty of time. Just got to have it before his first T2 session.
Yep, thanks.
We're now just 15 minutes away from a welcoming ceremony. On your screen, you see veteran astronaut Tom Marshburn floating back through the hatch from the Endurance vehicle, which docked to the International Space Station at 5:30 p.m. Central Time this evening. And there's a view of it docked to the International Space Station. The crew on board is working on some final procedures to get everything squared away before the welcoming ceremony begins at 8 p.m. Central Time this evening. We're about 12 minutes out from our welcome ceremony to begin. If you do have any more Nazca questions, be sure to send them our way and we'll answer them before the welcoming ceremony begins. And if you are just joining us, the Crew 3 astronauts have successfully docked to the International Space Station after launching at 8:03 p.m. Central Time yesterday from Launch Pad 39A at NASA's Kennedy Space Center in Florida. The crew of Rajachari, Caleb Aaron, Tom Marshburn, and European Space Agency astronaut Matthias Maurer docked to the orbital outpost at 5:32 p.m. Central Time this evening, and following docking, they floated aboard at 7:25 p.m. Central Time, officially welcoming them as members of the Expedition 66 crew. There's now 7 human beings living and working aboard the International Space Station, including the 4 Crew 3 astronauts, as well as NASA astronaut Mark Vande Hei and Roscosmos cosmonauts Pyotr Dubrov and Anton Shkaplerov, who is the current space station commander. And as a reminder, we are taking your Ask NASA questions, so if you have one, send it our way. We're just a few minutes away from the welcoming ceremony to begin at 8 p.m. Central Time, but we did get a question about the 0G indicator for endurance, asking what the name of the 0G indicator was and what the 0G indicator was. It's become a tradition for Crew Dragon vehicles and the crew members to select a 0G indicator. For this vehicle, the Crew 3 astronauts selected a turtle as their 0G indicator, which they named FAU, which is German for peacock. That pays tribute to European Space Agency astronaut Matthias Maurer, who is from Germany, as well as pays tribute to the turtle class.
For Mark, at your convenience, I have an answer on that harness.
Right on 2.
I'll get you in 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 20 seconds on the other side of the handover.
And while there's a brief handover that pays tribute to the Turtle class, each astronaut class has a nickname from the class above them. This class has several turtles flying on board the space station, so the 0G indicator is a turtle named Pfau, which is the German word for peacock.
And Station Houston to Mark, we found an answer. His harness flew up on Crew 3. It's in Dragon. It's going to be unpacked on Saturday. But if you need it before that, you could grab it. It's step 5 in the unpack message of StoTrack.
Okay, thanks much.
And we're just about 5 minutes away from our welcoming ceremony, where we'll hear some remarks from NASA leadership as well as the leadership from the European Space Agency. Still tracking a start time for the welcoming ceremony at 8 p.m. Central Time this evening.
And Station Houston 2, no reply needed, but we're 4 minutes out from the PAO event.
Great shot of the Crew 4 astronauts there as they prepare for the welcoming ceremony, slated to begin just about a minute from now. From left to right of your Crew 3 astronauts are NASA astronaut Tom Marshburn, NASA astronaut Kayla Barron, NASA astronaut Raja Chari, and European Space Agency astronaut Matthias Maurer. Floating into the frame now is NASA astronaut Mark Vandehei.
Station, this is Houston. Are you?
We are not quite ready for the event. We've got to get the space station commander.
No problem. Standing by.
Houston, we are ready for the event.
We copy, station. Associate Administrator Kathy Leaders, please call the International Space Station for a voice check.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, we can definitely hear you. Greetings.
Greetings. Are we ready to go?
Let's do it. I'm not sure if we're supposed to start talking first or if you're going to talk first.
Okay, I'll get started and then you guys can follow. Okay, hey, you know, tonight's docking was a perfect way for us to finish up what has been our 10-year anniversary year for the Commercial Crew Program. And I don't know about you guys, but it feels like the last 2 weeks have been pretty crazy for me. And I know you guys are probably real happy to be out of crew quarters. I told Norm Knight last night we were rescuing him from crew quarters with this launch. And I know you guys, I know Mark, you were waiting patiently for them to come, enjoying a few days of a little bit of quiet before the next round of folks coming up. But boy, is it good to see you. So, Raja, I'm hearing, you know, you're here leading the turtles, and you have the turtle there. And as you know, I'm so happy to, in particular, to see you there after all your work doing the joint test team. So after you come back, it'll be good to hear how the vehicle operated for you with all the work that you did. And it's so fantastic to see Matthias, Kayla, and Tom there with you safely. So we can't wait to see all the work you all are going to accomplish. And I'm looking forward to many, many more amazing experiences to come over the next 6 months while you all are there. Thank you again for your service. I loved, Roger, what you said yesterday when we're getting ready for launch. And you said, you know, we're hoping for a Halloween launch, but it's even cooler right now to be able to launch and dock on Veterans Day. And it is a great way for us to honor our veterans. Thank you.
Thanks, Kathy, and thanks to all the SpaceX and NASA teams. As you mentioned, it was great to get to work on the vehicle, and I think we all loved the ride up there. It was way smoother than we could have imagined, and that feeling going from MECO to the second stage was just awesome, and a beautiful ride. It was neat to see and feel the engines respond and then see it in the displays, and As you mentioned, we were tested before, and it wouldn't have been complete without testing out the system and seeing if we could go from landing to launch in under 48 hours. So kudos to the entire team that pulled that off. We drove Norm crazy in crew quarters, but we had a pretty, we got all gained some weight there too. But we're happy to be here now and ready to work.
Hi, colleagues. I'm very proud to be commander of this great team. We are start to fly together, and I know in the future we'll have the beautiful days on orbit together. We'll work together and relax together.
And I can't tell you how happy I am to see these smiling faces. Every one of us, all 7 of us are friends, and we're going to become even better friends as time goes on. And we've got a lot of work to do all the science experiments. I learned over the course of last week that at this moment we've got 60 experiments in progress already. And, of course, by the time we finish our time up here, we'll have participated in many more experiments than that. We've got a lot of work to do, a lot of exciting times coming up. And it's really an honor to be up here at the time when these folks arrived and to be able to help out, not just with doing science that's going to help out with humanity on the Earth right now, but also to help the human race be better to able to explore further and further away from our home planet.
Thank you, Mrs. Leaders. We now welcome ESA Director General Joseph Aschbacher. Please call station for a voice check.
Station, this is Joseph Aschbacher. How do you hear me?
Hallo Josef, hier ist Matthias. Ich höre dich 5 by 5.
5 by 5, fantastic. Really happy to see you, Matthias. Happy to see all of you. And it is just amazing to see these smiling faces. I think, Matthias, it must be a great feeling experiencing weightlessness live and for the first time for you. And I think this is just fantastic. I have to say that for ESA and for Europe, it's fascinating to have you as our next representative at the space station, while Thomas, as you know, has just returned to your common home base, the European Astronaut Center in Cologne, and both to recover for him, but also to engage in post-mission scientific activities, the science that you will continue in the next coming 6 months. Matthias, I can only tell you that we all at ESA, we are so proud of you and very excited to see you at the space station. Of course, we wish you all the best of luck. I know you have a lot of science and a lot of experiments ahead of you, EVAs, including work on the European robotic arm. We look forward to seeing you working in the NASA and the Russian spacesuits. But also, I hope that you have some time to enjoy the stunning views of our beautiful planet Earth from the cupola, and your messages to planet Earth, to all of us down here, will certainly be exciting and helping us all to preserve it. And it's just beautiful. So really, from my side, Matthias, very, very warm welcome to all of you, also to Raja, to Tom, Kayla, on behalf of the European Space Agency. And I'm just so excited and so happy to see you up there, smiling and in very good shape.
Many thanks, Joseph. Many thanks to all the ESA colleagues who helped me to find the way up here into space. It was a very interesting ride, exciting yesterday on the Falcon 9 and the Crew Dragon. And just minutes before we started this PO event, my colleagues here actually gave me the honor in opening the cupola shutters. And just that's an amazing view. It's the view that I was dreaming about for years. And after this event, I will go back and just indulge more in this view. So yes, you said right. We have a lot of science experiments ahead, and I'm very happy to continue what Thomas started. And then after 6 months, I will hand over to Samantha, and it will be the time of longest European presence in space, 1.5 years, almost without interruption, if Thomas hadn't left early. And yes, we strive to provide all the science experiments that all the scientists on the ground are hoping for. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Matthias, and really a very warm greetings from all of us here. So, Dankeschön und auch auf Deutsch noch ein paar Grüße, weil es einfach so schön ist, dich in guter Form zu sehen und alles Gute. Ja.
Ganz herzlichen Dank und ganz, ganz liebe Grüße natürlich auch an alle in Deutschland, in Europa, die das hier möglich gemacht haben. Natürlich auch besonders meine Freunde und Familie. Danke.
Station, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the event.
Thank you, Associate Administrator Leaders and Director General Ashbacher, for your participation in the Crew 3 welcome ceremony. Station, we are now resuming normal operational audio communications.
Wow, what an incredible few hours it has been. It is so great to see the Crew 3 astronauts on board. They were just welcomed by leaders from each of the space agencies that represent the crew members of Endurance. First, we heard from Kathy Leaders, the Associate Administrator of Space Operations Mission Director at NASA, and then we heard some remarks from Joseph Oshbacher, the European Space Agency Director General. Each of them talked about what it took us to get to this moment to welcome 4 new astronauts to the International Space Station, bringing the current population of the space station to 7 human beings as part of the Expedition 66 mission. It's been an incredible 24 hours for Crew 3, and we are thrilled to see them safely on board the International Space Station. We've been with you from the very beginning, starting with the crew suiting up in the suit-up room at the ONC building. The crew then headed to the launch pad and made their way up the service fixed structure and ingressed the Crew Dragon Endurance. We had an on-time liftoff yesterday at 8:03 p.m. Central Time. Following liftoff, the first stage separated and came back to Earth, landing on the recovery ship, while Dragon separated from the second stage. We had a good nose cone deploy, and 5 major burns took place as Dragon made its way to the space station. Finally, Endurance and its 4-person crew docked to the International Space Station at 5:32 p.m. Central Time, and the crew members floated through the hatch at 7:25 p.m. Central Time, officially bringing them to their new home for the next 6 months in space. It's been an incredible 24 hours watching this mission, and on behalf of SpaceX and NASA, thank you for watching it all unfold with us. The 3rd rotational crew mission has reached the International Space Station and will spend approximately 6 months docked to the space station until it's time for the crew to return home. Now that Crew 3 has successfully arrived to the International Space Station, be sure to follow NASA and SpaceX on social media for real-time updates throughout their mission. Thanks again for watching our coverage. Go NASA, go SpaceX, and go Crew 3. This is Mission Control Houston. The hatch is open, but the Crew 3 astronauts will need to work through a few more steps before they can ingress the International Space Station.
400 on the big one.
That hatch opening occurring at 7:25 p.m. Central.
And Endurance, this is SpaceX on the Big Loop. You are go for hatch crossing.
And first through the hatch is going to be NASA astronaut Kayla Barron. Some hugs there, and you can hear the claps inside Mission Control. Next up is European Space Agency astronaut Matthias Maurer. And now we have NASA astronaut Tom Marshburn. And NASA astronaut Rajachari. Lots of hugs and smiles here. Seven crew members now a part of Expedition 66. And you can really see and feel the excitement by the looks on the crew's faces. Looks like they're posing for some photos now.
Welcome to Station Crew 3. You guys look great in that photo.
And if you're just now joining us, the Crew 3 astronauts have successfully docked and entered aboard the International Space Station. They launched yesterday at 8:03 p.m. Central Time and completed a 22-hour launch to docking to the International Space Station. Docking occurred this evening at 5:32 p.m. Central Time, and the hatch was opened just a few minutes ago at 7:25 p.m. Central Time. NASA astronaut Rajachari, Kayla Barron, and Tom Marshburn, as well as European Space Agency astronaut Matthias Maurer, have now successfully reached the International Space Station, and we see a pretty special moment happening right now for Kayla Barron, first-time space flyer, as she's being pinned as an official flown NASA astronaut. Next up is European Space Agency astronaut Tom Marshburn, also a first-time flyer. Excuse me, that is European Space Agency astronaut Matthias Maurer being pinned by NASA astronaut Tom Marshburn. Lots of smiles and thumbs up, an exciting moment. And the third first-time space flyer, commander of the SpaceX Endurance vehicle, Rajachari, getting his pin.
To the station on 2, checking for the timing of the PAO event.
Just about to hand over, Mark. I'll catch you on the other side.
Send it our way. We're just a few minutes away from the welcoming ceremony to begin at 8 p.m. Central Time, but we did get a question about the 0G indicator for endurance, asking what the name of the 0G indicator was and what the 0G indicator was. It's become a tradition for Crew Dragon vehicles and the crew members to select a 0G indicator. For this vehicle, the Crew 3 astronauts selected a turtle as their 0G indicator, which they named Pfau, which is German for peacock. That pays tribute to European Space Agency astronaut Matthias Maurer, who is from Germany, as well as pays tribute to the turtle class.
For Mark, at your convenience, I have an answer on that harness.
Right on two.
I'll get you in 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 20 seconds on the other side of the handover.
And while there's a brief handover that pays tribute to the turtle class, each astronaut class has a nickname from the class above them. This class has several turtles flying on board the space station, so